What if I told you the reason you feel totally lost, like you're just wandering through life without a map, isn't because the universe hates you, or because you haven't worked hard enough? What if the real culprit, the thing sabotaging your happiness and preventing you from having a truly meaningful life, is actually living deep inside your own mind? We're talking about the secrets. Carl Jung, the brilliant mind who gave us the shadow and archetypes, uncovered about true fulfillment. If you've ever wondered why success feels empty, or why you just can't seem to find your purpose, stick around, because Jung's advice isn't just theory. It's a terrifyingly accurate roadmap to the person you are always meant to be. This is heavy, deep stuff, friends, but trust me, it's the most important conversation we'll have this year. Hello, everyone. It's fantastic to connect with all of you today. This video is deeply personal, because I know so many of you, my friends, my audience, are wrestling with that quiet, gnawing feeling that something fundamental is missing. Even if everything looks great on the surface. We've chased the big house, the career ladder, maybe even the perfect relationship, but the joy is fleeting. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers of the 20th century, diagnosed this exact spiritual malaise over 100 years ago, long before modern burnout became the norm. He realized that modern society was steering us away from our deepest essential self, and that seeking external validation was a guaranteed path to soul sickness. His solution? A radical journey inward, demanding absolute honesty about who you are, what you fear, and what truly drives you. Get ready, because we are diving into the essence of meaningful existence. Guided by the master psychologist himself, Jung called this lifelong quest the process of individuation. Now, don't let the fancy terminology scare you off. It simply means becoming a whole, complete individual, not just a fragmented piece of what society expects you to be. It's the journey of integrating all the disparate parts of your personality, the good, the bad, and the truly messy parts into one coherent, powerful force. Think of it like a sculptor chipping away at a block of marble until the finished masterpiece, your true self, is revealed. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. This process is the key to genuine fulfillment because it forces alignment between your inner life and your outward actions, transforming chronic dissatisfaction into deep, authentic purpose, which is exactly what a meaningful life demands from you. Jung argued that profound misery and the feeling of meaninglessness come from a fundamental failure to heed the crucial call of the self. We spend so much relentless energy trying to maintain the persona, that polished, social mask we wear for the world, that we utterly neglect the rich, complex internal life that actually gives life its meaning. We prioritize being accepted and fitting in over being authentically ourselves. But that internal self, your deep, innate essence, doesn't quietly vanish. It just gets louder and more insistent, often manifesting as paralyzing anxiety, chronic dissatisfaction, or a sudden, devastating midlife crisis that knocks you sideways. Jung suggested these psychological crises are actually desperate wake-up calls from the soul, urgent signals that you are dangerously off the course, laid out by your true potential. Jung's most famous and perhaps most frightening piece of advice, the prerequisite for all real meaning is, confront your shadow. The shadow is absolutely everything you repress, deny, or hate about yourself. Both the shameful dark urges and the magnificent potential you are too scared to embrace. The jealousy, the selfishness, the explosive rage, the sheer incompetence, and the hidden power. We push these qualities down into the basement of our unconscious mind, foolishly hoping they'll vanish, but they gain immense, sabotaging power precisely because they are hidden from conscious scrutiny. They don't disappear. They just project themselves onto others, making you inexplicably furious at your colleague for being overtly ambitious when really, You are simply jealous of your own unacknowledged and repressed desire for power and success. Why is this confrontation with the shadow so non-negotiable for anyone searching for a truly meaningful life? Because all the vast psychological energy locked up in the endless process of repressing the shadow is energy that is completely wasted and unavailable for productive life endeavors. When you courageously acknowledge and integrate these darker aspects, which means understanding their source, not necessarily letting them run your life, you suddenly free up immense psychological vitality and strength. Jung saw the shadow not just as a reservoir of evil, but critically, as a potential source of fierce creative power. If you own your true anger and its source, you can channel it into fierce, protective action or focused, intense motivation. If you own your deepest ambition, you can pursue massive goals with newfound integrity and power. So, the big question remains, how do you even begin the terrifying process of talking to your shadow, let alone integrating it? Jung advised starting by paying acute, painful attention to what truly irritates you about other people. Those instant, intensely negative judgments you make are often profound psychological mirrors reflecting something you deny in yourself. Also, diligently examine your dreams and your spontaneous fantasies. The parts of those stories that feel unsettling, forbidden, or deeply shameful usually hold the clearest clues about your most repressed traits. It takes immense moral courage, friends, but shining a powerful light into the psychological darkness doesn't make the darkness disappear. It just makes the monsters smaller, recognizable, and ultimately manageable, allowing your true, integrated self to emerge triumphant. Next, on Jung's roadmap to meaning, he wants us to meticulously scrutinize the persona. Think of the persona as the carefully constructed role you play in your daily life. The perfect, emotionally stable parent, the relentless, successful professional, or the perpetually easygoing, conflict-avoiding friend. We need the persona to function smoothly in society, but when we mistake the mask for the actual face underneath, we utterly lose ourselves and our direction. Jung believed that a genuinely meaningful life requires the difficult, painful task of shedding the aspects of the persona that no longer serve our true inner nature, or self. Are you doing something just because your parents expected it? Or because society celebrates it as successful, even though it fundamentally drains your energy and soul? The real paralyzing danger is what Jung termed identification with the persona, which occurs when your external role becomes your entire fragile identity. If you are only the CEO who defines himself by his title, what happens to your sense of meaning when you are inevitably fired or replaced? If you are only the provider, who are you when you finally retire and the money stops coming in? Jung warned that this dangerous identification leaves you emotionally brittle and spiritually vulnerable, because your entire sense of meaning is reliant on external, changeable circumstances that you ultimately cannot control. True meaning, based on the slow, deliberate process of individuation, is built on an internal, psychological foundation that simply cannot be taken away by job losses, social rejection, or physical decline. Moving deeper into the unconscious landscape, Jung introduced the crucial concept of archetypes, universal, archaic patterns, images, and instinctual templates that reside deep within the collective unconscious, which is the shared reservoir of all human experience. These are the fundamental human roles: the hero, the wise old man, the mother, the trickster, the king, and the lover. While we absolutely cannot change these fundamental archetypes, understanding which ones are currently most active and powerful in our lives helps us understand our inherent purpose, our natural drives, and our personal mythology. Are you naturally drawn to protecting the vulnerable, the caregiver archetype? Or perhaps challenging the established status quo and breaking old forms, the rebel archetype? Self-awareness of these patterns is pure power. For Jung, the ultimate, sacred goal of individuation is the profound realization and emergence of the self. The self is the geometric center of the total personality, encompassing both the conscious ego and all the vast unconscious parts. It is the deep organizing principle, the innate blueprint for psychological wholeness, often universally expressed through powerful sacred symbols like the circle, the cross, or the mandala. Jung didn't mandate belief in a specific religious deity, but he was crystal clear that humans have an innate psychological, instinctual need for a connection to something utterly transcendent, something vastly larger and more eternal than their small, limited ego. That search for transcendence is the search for meaning. Now, this next piece of advice is often a tough, bitter pill to swallow for many. But Jung was absolutely adamant that suffering, conflict, and pain are absolutely essential ingredients for a meaningful and deeply forged life. We live in a contemporary culture that is utterly obsessed with immediately avoiding all discomfort and feeling good all the time. But Jung viewed pain and inner conflict not as something to be instantly medicated or perpetually avoided, but as the unavoidable, necessary raw material for profound spiritual and psychological transformation. It is only through wrestling honestly with our unavoidable inner conflicts, our existential angst, and our unavoidable failures that we actually forge genuine character, build emotional resilience, and discover the deep, lasting meaning that transcends surface happiness, modern life, with its hyper-rationalism and obsessive efficiency, often strips away the vital comfort of ritual and symbolism, leaving us feeling dry, mechanical, and spiritually disconnected. Jung strongly advised deliberately reconnecting with these powerful elements, whether it's maintaining a personal creative expression practice, maintaining a regular spiritual or meditative routine, or simply engaging deeply and regularly with meaningful art, music, or nature. Symbols speak the non-rational, profound language of the unconscious. They help bridge the crucial gap between our rational, skeptical ego and the deeper, often terrifying wisdom held within the organizing self, allowing intuition to guide our conscious decisions toward purpose. Another core piece of advice for achieving psychological balance and meaning is the difficult task of understanding and integrating the anima, the feminine principle, residing in men, and the animus, the masculine principle residing in women. We often powerfully reject traits associated with the opposite gender because of rigid societal conditioning and fear of social rejection. But integrating these necessary qualities, like men embracing emotional sensitivity and relational intelligence, or women embracing assertiveness, intellectual rigor, and boundary setting, leads to incredible balance, psychological flexibility, and deep inner freedom, all crucial ingredients for enduring fulfillment and a life well lived. Jung considered dreams to be the most direct, uncensored, and unfiltered message from the mysterious unconscious mind. They aren't random, neurological noise. They are highly sophisticated symbolic communications, offering subtle guidance, highlighting our most repressed issues, and correcting dangerous imbalances in your conscious attitude and direction. His concrete advice? Keep a meticulous dream journal, but don't interpret them rigidly like a code. Instead, look for recurring themes, powerful emotional images, and symbolic motifs that speak directly to your current life challenges and actively point you toward necessary growth. Even if the image seems utterly bizarre, at first glance, Jung also made a crucial, life-altering distinction between the psychological tasks of the first and second halves of life. The first half, up to around 35 or 40, is primarily about establishing ourselves in the external world, career, family, building the competent persona. The second half, however, must shift its focus drastically inward and toward spiritual questioning. Failing to make this crucial psychological shift, continuing to chase youthful ambitions, external validation or material success after 40 is, according to Jung, a recipe for a deeply tragic, bitter, and meaningless old age, characterized by regret and existential hollowness. Carl Jung's profound concept of vocation is far deeper and more sacred than a mere job title or career path. Vocation is the strong internal compulsion to fully fulfill your innate potential, the unique psychological contribution only you, with your specific history and gifts, can make to the world. His advice here is to listen intently to the inner voice, the quiet, persistent call that guides you toward work that genuinely energizes your soul and spirit. Even if that path doesn't initially offer the highest salary or the most societal prestige. When your daily job aligns profoundly with your spiritual vocation, genuine meaning is not something you search for. It becomes automatic. A meaningful life, for Jung, is fundamentally not one of smooth, easy sailing, but of constant, necessary psychological tension. Life is inherently full of irreconcilable, paradoxal opposites, light and dark, good and evil, success and failure, action and contemplation. Instead of desperately trying to eliminate one side of the equation, the goal of individuation is to learn to hold these paradoxes in creative tension, to realize that genuine meaning often resides powerfully in the difficult, messy space between them. This courageous acceptance of complexity and ambiguity allows us to be flexible, resilient, and non-judgmental when life inevitably throws us devastating curveballs. While the process of individuation often sounds solitary and intensely personal, Jung ultimately emphasized that becoming a whole, integrated individual actually makes you better, more deeply connected to all of humanity. By tapping into the vast collective unconscious, the shared reservoir of universal human experience, suffering, and wisdom, we realize that our deepest, most unique struggles are profoundly universal. This profound realization means that seeking your own individualized meaning isn't a selfish act. It's actually your greatest possible service to the world, because a whole, psychologically sound individual contributes balance and positivity to the entire community. Finally, Jung stressed the ethical imperative that necessarily comes with deep psychological realization and self-knowledge. Once you courageously gain true insight into your shadow, your personal unconscious, and your immense potential, you are morally and psychologically obligated to live up to that powerful, painful knowledge. Ignorance might offer temporary bliss, but true self-knowledge carries immense, unavoidable responsibility. Living a meaningful life, therefore, means making conscious choices and taking actions that consistently align with your highest realized self. Demanding moral courage and integrity in every action and relationship you navigate. So, friends, Carl Jung's century-old advice for escaping emptiness and forging a meaningful life boils down to this profound, undeniable truth. Stop looking outside yourself for the answers, for validation, or for fulfillment. The entire roadmap to lasting fulfillment is already written clearly within your own complex unconscious mind. The journey of individuation is undeniably hard. Yes, it requires facing your deepest, most shameful fears and your darkest secrets, but it is the only guaranteed path that promises genuine, enduring, and unshakable meaning. Are you ready to start that difficult but absolutely vital work? If this conversation hit you hard, please let me know in the comments what specific part of Jung's advice resonated most deeply with your current life search. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more transformative content like this every week. And please share this video with anyone else you know who is desperately searching for their unique purpose in this confusing world. I'll see you all next time.